What a privilege and an honor it is to be in the presence of the Lord in God's house on this great Sunday morning. Amen. As we prepare to turn our Bibles, let us open them up to the book of Exodus, the 3rd chapter. It's Exodus, the 3rd chapter. It's Exodus, the 3rd chapter. Exodus, 3rd chapter. And as we go to that particular book, let us get ready to key in on verse number 1. It's Exodus, 3rd chapter. And we're looking at verse number 1. And you might see these words as something very similar. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the back of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. Then Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, while the bush does not burn. So when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. Then he said, do not draw this place. Do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet. For the place where you stand is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up from that land to a good and large land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites and Hittites and Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. Now, therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? So he said, I will certainly, somebody say certainly, I will certainly be with you. And this shall be a sign to you that I have sent you when you have brought the people out of Egypt. You shall serve God on this mountain. And for a subject on this morning, I want to preach from the subject, finding God in bad places can make you better on purpose. Finding God in bad places can make you better on purpose. Have you ever wanted to experience God fresh and new? And then all of a sudden God shows up at the time you didn't expect him? So we have to be ready. We have to be prepared to be sensitive to identifying God when God is doing something new. We find here in Exodus chapter 3, Moses' encounter with God. Anybody in here want to encounter God?
Yes, God.
Do you really want God to show up at your door? Do you really want him showing up on your job? While you're out shopping? Who wants to encounter God? I think about that, and I think about the encounters that many of us have in our lives. And have you ever thought about people you have met who might not be family members or spouses, but someone you met, you encountered them in a place you never expected to meet them, and they impacted your life in such a way that you never forgot them? Have you ever met someone when you was going off to do something and that person changed your entire life? Have you ever come across someone and someone said something to you that you never forgot? Here we find Moses doing his own thing, living life as best he could. And all of a sudden, God shows up and it becomes a God thing. What I find interesting about Moses had got up that morning and went to work. I haven't read anywhere where it said Moses was praying. I don't think Moses got up that morning and prayed to God and hoped to see God. I don't even know if he was praying for the children of Israel, because they didn't tell us that. But what I do know, Moses got up that morning. Maybe he didn't kiss his wife on the cheek on his way out the door. Maybe he packed the lunch. Or maybe he was trying to decide where he wasn't going to eat lunch later that day. But I believe Moses, just like many other people, got up that morning, probably brushed his teeth, cleaned himself up, put on something to wear, put on his work clothes, and went off to work. And all of a sudden he saw something. Maybe it was traffic on his way to work, and he couldn't travel 75, 85 that morning. Or maybe he couldn't come out I-20. Maybe he had to go and take another route. And because he was detoured, he saw something that he had never seen before in his life. Because here we have Moses had been going to work at least 40 years with his father-in-law Jethro, and had never paid any attention to this bush. Or maybe had never been on fire before. But anyway, on this day, Moses saw something, and because he saw it and curiosity kicked in, he had an encounter that changed his life. As we understand Jesus' journey to the cross, we would see that we have to follow Jesus to the cross for ourselves. And here we have Moses being a precursor to that journey, was on a journey by himself already. How many of you know that each and every one have our own journey to take? We have our own path to cross. We have our own distance to travel. And here we have Moses on a journey, and because of this journey, he found himself looking for work and working. He has an encounter with God. We determine whether we want to see it from a distance or experience it from afar when it comes to the encounters that we see. A lot of times when you're traveling on your way to work in the morning, if you're here in Atlanta, chances are there will always be traffic. It could be a stalled vehicle. It could be an accident. It could be, like I used to always say a long time ago, when I retire, I'm gonna get up early in the morning and get out on the interstate and drive real slow. Just slow down traffic. I know it wasn't right, and I hadn't done it, and I won't do it. But I used to say I was gonna do stuff like that because I thought that's what people did. I said, how is it there's traffic every morning, and then when I get through the intersection, there's no accident? I used to believe that people would just get up early in the morning and drive 2 and 10 real slow just to slow down traffic. Maybe they forgot they had retired, or maybe they didn't realize they wasn't working anymore and they just so used to getting up going out. But anyway, I used to often wonder why was traffic every morning, especially when there was no accident or no stalled cars. But we have to realize that when we're taking a journey, when we're traveling, there's going to be some things that come up. But I later began to realize that when there would be an accident, there's this phrase that was coined by some helicopter traffic reporter called rubbernecking. Anybody ever heard the phrase rubbernecking? That's when you're driving And all of a sudden you take your head and eyes off of where you're going to look at what's going on to your left or to your right, whatever direction the incident happened in. We don't want to get too close to it, but we want to be able to see what happens, so when we get to work, we can say, man, did y'all see that accident on this expressway this morning? Did y'all see what happened? Yeah, you know, it was over in the far lane. I didn't get a chance to get too close to it, but yeah, it looked like it was a bad accident. I saw a lot of cars lined up on the side. I remember one morning back, it must have been in the late 80s or early 90s, but I was traveling I-75, 85 going north. And right down in the graded curve, where it seemed like everything always happened. But anyway, right down in the graded curve, it was a slowdown. And true enough, I started slowing down too, but I wanted to rubberneck. So all of a sudden, I looked over to the right, tried to see what was going on in the accident. And lo and behold, I ended up hitting the back of a police pickup truck. Rubbernecking. Looking at somebody else's accident, and I had an accident. And not just any accident, but hitting the back of a policeman's pickup truck. Not the car, but a pickup truck. Go figure. What's a pickup truck doing on the expressway in the morning? A police officer pickup truck. Anyway, what was so funny, I hit the truck, and then after we got pulled over and we had to go to the side and they had to write everything up. You know how they be having the traffic report going on in the morning? Well, I heard my own traffic report. There's another accident on 75, 85 northbound where a vehicle hit the back of a police pickup truck. I'm like, what in the world? How did I make the traffic? And then some people knew that it was me because I talked about it and I got to work, and I said, when they were talking about somebody, like, that was me. But encounters. We all have encounters, and sometimes you get too close to somebody else's encounter and you might experience the encounter. What happened, I was trying to get too close to the accident, not trying to drive too close to it, but I was trying to get too close to look at it and had my own accident. Have you ever had an encounter with something just because you was close to it? Just because you got close to it, you didn't touch it, but you got close enough to it to experience what it was. That's what happened to Moses. Moses didn't touch the burning bush, but he got close enough to realize something was happening. And as he got closer, a voice began to speak to him out of the bush that was burning, that wasn't on fire. That's something that I've just still never been able to wrap around. How can it burn and not be smoked, not be charred, not hot enough where you will scorch yourself, but it's burning? And I have an idea now, because humankind have gotten so smart. They have these fake fireplaces now. We've seen them. Some of y'all might even have some. Well, there's this fire that's in your fireplace, and there are no logs. There's no burning, but there's a fire going, and they even have a little crackling and the popping going on and everything. So we got an idea of what Moses might have been experiencing at the time. But we don't have to take off our sandals when we get close to it. And I don't know, not me, and y'all hadn't told me that God has spoke to y'all through that type of fireplace. But Moses got close enough, and as he got close enough, I could only imagine how startled he was to hear a voice speak to him. What was that like for Moses? Up on a mountain, and all of a sudden you're hearing a voice and it's only you. A lot of us are afraid to hear voices, because when we hear voices, first thing we think is, I must be losing my mind. Am I going crazy? I better not answer, because it's okay to hear voices as long as you don't respond to the voice, because you start responding to voices you don't see, that's when people start thinking you're crazy. But now we know Moses was crazy. Because not only did Moses hear the voice, and when God called him, and God called him twice, Moses said, here I am. Who was Moses answering at the time? How did Moses know who he was answering? But I'm glad God didn't leave him hanging too long. I'm glad God don't leave us hanging too long. But imagine, here Moses is out on his job, in a place far away from his home, working, where no one should have known who he was besides maybe Jethro and his family. Because he was working for his father-in-law, and back then, the land was owned by family. So family was probably the only one who Moses knew out there at the time. And it made me also realize maybe Moses was a independent contractor, or maybe he worked by himself because he didn't have no co-workers around him. He didn't have no supervisors and no managers and nothing. They didn't talk about any of that kind of stuff. Just him and sheep. So maybe being a shepherd was a lonely career. Because it's just you and animals. Nobody say, you don't have no co-workers come and tell you about the game. You don't have nobody talk about the housewives of whatever city they own or nothing like that. It was just Moses and the animals. But for Moses to be on the mountain and to go to the bush and him being a shepherd, it also told me that he left the sheep for a while. The bush must have got his attention because he left the sheep. But let's find out a little bit about Moses. Moses was born a Hebrew child, raised as an Egyptian prince. A Hebrew child raised as an Egyptian prince. Don't that sound like black people today? Everybody want to name their sons king and prince, name themselves king and young king, little king, big king, money king, and young prince and prince this and prince that. And we're not raising them like that. You know, it's the difference if you name them king or you make them a prince and you raise them in royalty. But they even belong to themselves just like you. I don't know if I want to be called prince then. If I'm eating the same thing that you're eating, if I'm going to be called prince, I'm expected to have some royalness about myself. If I'm being called king, I'm expected to have some servants and some subjects or something. You know, if I'm being called king and I'm not wearing the newest Jordans, I don't know if my name should be called king or not. If I'm called prince and young prince, and I'm not wearing the latest, got the best of it, I don't know if that should be my name or not. But anyway, it said he was born a Hebrew, which means he was born poor, but raised rich. Born poor and raised rich. At birth, he floated down a river, not even realizing the sacrifices that was made for him to still be alive. Because at the time, there was a decree given that all male children were supposed to be killed. He grew into a young adult, and as a young adult, he fought for the life of a Hebrew. And what's so interesting is, how many people would fight for the life of someone that you consider beneath you, only to have to be on the run for the rest of your life? Can you imagine you fighting, taking up for somebody, and now you're in trouble? And now you're wanted by the law? That's just a quick version of who Moses was. But most of us have a story to tell. And most of us have a story to share with those we encounter every day. You know, there are people who will remind you of something about them every day. And usually something in their past. Something that they hold in high regard, but it might not have been that high when they was experiencing it. You ever met anybody from New York? They love to remind you that they're from New York. I'm from New York, son. Son. Best Side, Brooklyn. Whatever little town or parish or community they from. They love to remind you that they're from New York, son. They don't have any daughters up there? No fathers, no mothers? But New Yorkers love to remind you that they're from New York. Now, you know, I've never been to New York. But I know that there are some country towns in New York. And a lot of these people come here talking about they're from New York, son, probably from one of them towns more countryer than Rutledge, Georgia. Countryer than Dry Branch. And what's that other one down there that said them things from? One of them country towns I can't think of, but there's some country towns in New York. But they love to make you think that they're urban, hip, and all this stuff. But they love to talk about their stories and how hard they had it coming up. You know, I love to hear people talk about how hard they had it coming up when you know they didn't. I remember teaching at a private Christian academy. And some of the boys that I taught thought they were so hard. They thought they were some thugs and tough, and I'm like, you got a private Christian school. How hard can you be?
Yeah.
Never been to a public school in your life, trying to be hard.
Yeah.
Thinking you tough and everything. I'll never forget one day. I think April was her 7th grade class, 8th grade class, and you know how students have to line up and walk down the hall.
Yeah.
So you know back then they had all the girls line up in the front because it was a private Christian school. All the girls lined up in the front, and the guys came behind them. The girls lined up. They had book bags on their shoulder, carrying them. While all the boys had the little rolling kind rolling down the hall. And they thugs and tough and hardcore. And they rolled, they couldn't even carry book bags. They were rolling theirs on wheels, and the girls had theirs on. Girls looking harder than the boys. But we all have stories to tell. So Moses shares his experience to us in this particular book of Exodus as he talks about what happened when he encountered the burning bush. He talks about what happened when God chose him to go and lead the children of Israel out of bondage. It makes me think about politicians today. Yesterday we was up in the public shopping center, and there was a politician rally going on. I don't think the politician who's actually running for office was there, but his people were there. And his people had these signs and bumper stickers and flags and all that stuff. They were getting ready to go out and pass out information so that we can vote for their candidate. Now, I don't know if he was called by God to lead Fulton County. I don't know if he had an encounter with God where God said, go and lead the people in South Fulton out of bondage. Go and lead them out of the poorness they experience. Go and lead them out of the farm desert they experience. Go and lead them out of the crime-infested community they might be in. I don't know if this particular candidate was called from God or had an experience or an encounter with God, but he feel or believe that he should lead South Fulton in a direction that maybe and hopefully God is giving him. Maybe somebody needs to ask him at the town hall meeting, were you called by God to lead us? I know politicians don't want to talk about being called by God, but what type of leader would you rather have than one who was? Come on. Do you want a leader who don't have no encounter with God to try to lead you? What would make you think he would be fair with you if he didn't have no kind of God encounter? What would make you think she would care about you if she don't care about the things that God cares about? A great leader of God have lived out an experience similar to what you're experiencing in order to lead you out of it. Why would you want somebody to lead your neighborhood who never lived in your neighborhood? Why would you want somebody to lead your group of people who can't relate to your group of people? So great leaders have to live out the experience of the people that they're serving through God. Oftentimes, great leaders also have to want justice for the people that they're leading. They have to want things to be right with the people that they're leading. And God, in this burning bush experience, initiates a relationship with Moses and commissions him to lead God's people from the wilderness of sin and to the mountain of God. If you are leading people, shouldn't you have someone to lead them to?
Yeah.
Come on.
Why would you say, come on, let's go, y'all, and you don't have nowhere to go? You don't have no way of getting them there. You don't have no directions on how they should get there. A leader should know where he's going. But furthermore, a great leader has to be a great follower of whoever they're trying to get to. If I'm trying to lead you to God, shouldn't I be following God?
Yeah.
If you're trying to lead somebody to God, shouldn't you be following God?
Yeah.
You know, too many times our churches have missed the mark because the only thing we want to do is offer salvation and acceptance of Jesus Christ, but we don't want to offer them the faith that comes with the work that's required to get there. We just want people to come in, have a good time, and have a party, and send them back out to their own wilderness experience. What would happen if you were to come in and I say, take your sandals off because y'all on holy ground now?
Yeah, yeah.
If this is the presence of God, shouldn't this be holy?
Yeah.
If you're in the presence of God, shouldn't you feel some type of, whoa. I told y'all about when I was young growing up, and soon as I pulled into the church parking lot, I felt the need to turn the music down in my car. Even when I listened to gospel, I still would turn it down because it's like, man, this music shouldn't be, my car shouldn't be bouncing like this on the church property. Even though it's gospel. I don't know why I felt that way, but yes I do, because I felt like I was coming to holy ground. I know people, soon as they get ready to turn into the church parking lot, they putting their cigarettes out. They could be in their cars, soon as they could be in there arguing with somebody, soon as they get into the church parking lot, argument stops. What is it about recognizing that you are coming on holy ground and getting ready to encounter God? Now, some of these same people pick it back up soon as the encounter is over with. It's like they don't forget where they left off at, and they just, and by the way, and just pick up the conversation. Pick up the half-lit cigarette that they left in the car. Turn the music back up soon as they on the way back out the parking lot. God, as Moses encountered him, God had to remind Moses and let Moses know who he was. I am God, the God of your father Abraham, the God of your father Isaac, and the God of your father Jacob. Can you imagine Moses like, oh, you know my whole family. This ain't no any God. This is God that my people were talking about. Can you imagine when you experience the God that Big Mama used to always talk about? Madea used to always talk about, your granddaddy used to always talk about. Can you realize when you finally encounter God?